Well, I come from Australia, very beautiful, but a young country. And when I first arrived in Europe, and I was able to visit some of these beautiful palaces, castles, and churches that I had been reading about for years, it was just wonderful. And to think that I was going back in time while visiting them hundreds of years, it's just amazing. So do go and see them, because it's really a very fascinating experience to go back in time. And of course here, there's wonderful culture and heritage for us to enjoy and to appreciate, which we don't have in Australia. And then of course there's Westport House, a beautiful house built by families of the Brown family and receiving thousands of visitors every year. So we're very lucky to have it on our doorstep. And of course, going back in time with Westport House, you go from the 20th century to the 16th, and isn't that amazing? So every house has its story, and the story of Westport House starts with the 16th century. And there was a John Brown who came out from Cowdray Castle in Sussex. His father was very influential in the court of Henry VIII. But being a younger son, he migrated out and he settled in Kilmaine. He married, had a family, and brought up lots of land. So then his grandson, Colonel John Brown, also a solicitor, he married Maud Burke, who was the great-great-granddaughter of Grace O'Malley, our famous sea pirate. So they built a house on the dungeons of one of her derelict castles. And lots of children have had great fun in those dungeons in recent times. So then their heir married an Elizabeth Kelly of Jamaica, and her estates helped the family finances. And later on, the wooden doors for the dining room would come out from the estates in Jamaica, and they are solid mahogany, and they're very handsome, so do go and see them. Later on then, their son, John, well, he wanted a much bigger house. So he employed a German architect, very famous of the time, Richard Castles, and he had also designed other houses in Ireland. So he designed the east front, as we know it today, the long gallery, and the dining room. Beautiful rooms. Later on, they were to be decorated by the famous English architect, James Wyatt. The dining room is particularly pretty. It reminds me of Wedgwood. It's all blue and white, very pretty and lovely old glass and wood. James Wyatt also designed beautiful fireplaces for the house and the oak staircase that went down to the dungeons. And he especially planned out the new town of Westport. And later on that John would put out the streets, and some of them are still named after the family. Altamont Street, James Street, Peter Street, John Road. He brought in lots of artifacts for the house. He created the lake, this John, and he built the bridge, which I love to walk over, and there in front is Westport House. So then came George, the famine Marquis. Poor George. Westport was very badly hit during the times of the famine, and they had to close up the house and move into a small house in Westport, which is now the tourist office. But he's credited with spending a lot of his money in providing food for his people. Much later on, back in home, it was he who built the marble staircase. It's really beautiful. They brought the marble in from Carrara in Italy, and the workmen to build it. And if you haven't seen it, do go and see it. And together with the glass chandelier, the barrel ceiling, and the beautiful wooden flooring, it makes a very impressive entrance to Westport House. And don't forget that when you cross over the threshold, you are in the 1730s. So later on, the 10th Marquess, he wrote a book, I think it must be a bestseller, and he decided with his family to open the house to the public. It was a great success and enjoyed by thousands of people. And then later on, his son Jeremy, then the 11th Marquess of Sligo, he made an entertainment park for the children, slides and trains and things. So then they had a wonderful estate, family estate, to go with the house. So do go and see it. But not only that, do go and see all the beautiful houses and churches in Ireland and in other parts of Europe. They're scattered all over. And hopefully in generations to come, our people will still be going to visit them and enjoy walking back through time.